So this is the square that we're making today. It's called basket weave. So you can see that's pretty much what it looks like, and it's a really tactile, it's an absolutely lovely square to do. So we start off with our usual little circle. Those two together. We start off with 19 chain stitches, so that's 1, 2, 3, 19. So that's the lower edge of our square. I've used a number 4 hook. If you are a tight crocheter, use maybe a bigger hook, because the next bit is probably the most difficult bit of it. After that it gets easier. So the first thing that we want to do is a treble into the 4th chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4th chain from the hook. So yarn over hook in through there, back out again. There we go, that's 2 stitches, because that bend there, that makes your first stitch, that makes your second stitch. Then you do this again through all of the chains to the end of the row of chains. Now can you see into the next one? Whether you choose to go into the top, into the bottom, or whether you choose to tighten it on its side and go into that bump at the bottom, you can. So you have 2 loops on top, 1 underneath. That's up to you, it doesn't matter, just do it the same way all the way along. So we've done 3, we'll go into the next one. So we're going to do that all the way along to the end of that row. So I've got 15 stitches so far. I just need to do 2 more trebles into the last 2 chains of the foundation row. There we go. So that's 17 stitches. So what we're going to do now, that's bottom of it, turn, and this is where the fun starts. We're going to do 2 chains. That's our first stitch, it corresponds with that one there. Now, if you're used to crocheting, you normally would go into that part of this stitch, or even underneath and back out the other side of there. What we're going to do, we're going to do a treble, so that's why I've got my yarn over hook, in through that gap and back out. Now where you're coming out here is where you're going to be going in on your next stitch. So it's called basically round the post, we call it. So you do your treble, do you see how you've actually done it round the stitch instead of into the stitch at the top? So you came out of there, and that's where you're going back in and round the next stitch. And again, one more time. Okay, now to get the basket weave, next time we're going round the back of the stitch the other way round. So we're doing a treble again. This time we're going in the back, oops, in there and back out. You see where the hook's gone? It's gone round the stitch. You see it from behind as well. It's gone round the stitch. So hook your wool through like a normal treble. And can you see how it's knocked the top of that stitch forward? That is the beginning of your basket weave. That is how you get these lines here. You knock them forward. So we carry on to another 3 of those, another 2 of those, sorry, make it up to 3. And again. So far you've got your first stitch and then 3 stitches going in from the front, nice and smooth, 3 from the back, and that's knocking those stitches forward. So you're going to carry on to the end of this row, doing exactly the same, 3 round the front, 3 round the back, 3 round the front, to the end of the row. So I've carried on this row. That was the 3 where we went in from the front of the stitch, 3 from the back, 3 from the front, 3 round the back. Then this is my first one going around the front. Again, can you see how I've actually put your hook through there? And again, like that, from the front of that one. And then that leaves you just 1 stitch on the end, and we're going to do a half treble into this one. So just going anywhere, that's my policy. Back out again, and then to do a half treble. Now with a treble you go through 2 loops and then through 2 loops. With a treble, half treble, sorry, you just go through the whole lot at the same time. Okay, then this is where the fun starts even more. Turn it round, it begins to make shape. So another 2 chains, that's your first stitch. Now see, we've got the ridge where we've gone round there. So this time we want to go, we do it the opposite way round. So we want to kick the ridges back this way. So we go from the back to begin with, to do our trebles. And again, from the back. And again. Folds up a bit when you're doing it, but you should be able to work out what's happening there. Okay, so can you see how you're beginning to get those ridges form? Because as you go around the back of the stitch, you're kicking it forward. When you go into the front of the stitch, you're kicking it backwards. So the next 3 stitches go around from the front, okay, so it's beginning to actually happen now. So carry on like that to the end. So round the back for these, round the front for those, the back for these, and a half treble into the end. So I'm nearly at the end now. So for this last one, got 2 stitches left, I'm going around it that way, pulling the yarn fold through, and finishing off my treble, and then another half treble in at the end. The reason why we put a half treble in is it's a slightly shorter stitch than a full treble, and as you're actually going round these stitches, you're going round them halfway along, so these stitches are coming in a little bit shorter. Now we can carry on following that pattern all the way up, and you have a very nice rib pattern, which is if that's what you want to carry on, but we're doing the basket weave pattern, so we need to change tack a little bit. So do your turn. And your 2 chains. So this time, instead of going around the back of that stitch and carrying it on nice and smoothly off into the yonder, so in front of that stitch, sorry, we're going to go the other way. So going from there, from the back of the stitch, and that way. And this is going to start kicking that down, which will give the ridge on this side this time. And so again, round the next stitch from behind. You'll often see in crochet books, they tell you to crochet around the post. This is what they mean. So do you notice now, instead of it going smoothly all the way up, you've got a ridge because of the way you've done it. So as you've probably worked out, on this section, you're going to go from the front round the back to the front again. And then this section will become the smooth one. Okay, so we're going to carry that along to the end, playing the opposite pattern. So the general rule of thumb is, apart from the first layer, because your first layer is trebles, is if you've got 3 stitches for each section, you do 3 rows up as well, and then that gets the square effect, which you can see there. Keeps it more square, otherwise it's not quite as even as that. So we've done 2 around the post. We've done a straight layer of trebles, then 2 rows around the post that way, and then we're going to do 3 the other way. So I'll show you that. I'll just do that. So I've done a bit more. So you can see I did my foundation row, my first row of trebles, there, then 2 rows of 1, say alternate A, and then 3 rows the opposite way. Now you're looking at this, you've got 3 stitches across, so you should have 3 ridges plus the top row. That is not going to be your 4th ridge. The reason being, when you go back across, that ridge is going to form part of your next section. So do you see how this works? You've got 2 alternatives. You go across that way and then you swap it. Or am I confusing you? So you're going to turn and you're back to doing what you did at the bottom of here now. So 2 stitches, 2 chains, sorry. And then this time you're going to want this ridge to start coming forward now. So go from behind into the front and do your treble. Sorry about that. From behind. So go around every single stitch, just in case you're wondering I hadn't worked that out already. And again. There we are, and then we're going back to the ridge again. So it's gone ridge, smooth, ridge. And to get this one to go smooth, go around from the front. a bit easier to show you now. It's lying a bit flatter. Now it's a bit bigger. So this is the way we go on. If you have 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3 across, multiples of 3s, then you go up with multiples of 3 ridges. If you have multiples of 6 stitches, like something else I've made, I do not have it here, then you would go up with 6 ridges. And you keep going up until you've got a square.